Good evening, everybody. How are you all? So let us wait just 2 more minutes and start the session. Okay. So today we are going to talk about elastic load balancer and auto scaling groups. So first of all, let me share my screen. Connecting to Linux instance using same security group. So Linux instance, it is always SSH. So that is nothing much to change, Avinash sir. So can you be precise about your question, please? I know you have asked me some question yesterday evening, and I told you that I'll show it to you today. So you want me to show how to connect to an instance or how to add a new rule in security group? While we get the response, let me log into my AWS account. Okay, somebody just drew something. How to connect to a new instance. Okay, Archie. First of all, let me sign in. So for today, in order to see how an ELB works, we need 2 web servers. So I'll go ahead and create those web servers and I'll show you how to connect it. Okay. So I'm going to create both web servers automatically only. So that is why I got my bin bash commands ready here. So let us go. So before continuing to launch these things, can anybody tell me what is a web application? What is a web application? Group of web pages put together. So what is a web package? It is a software. Thank you very much, sir. Can anybody tell me what is a web server? What is a web server? Web server. A web server is nothing but a website. Thank you, Parthina. So before installing a web package, it is considered as a normal EC2. But after installing a web package, we call it as a web server. So can anybody give me what is the command to get root privileges? What is the command to get root privileges? Sudo su. So super user do switch user. Okay. So what is the command? What is the command to install a HTTPD package? What is the command to create a HTTPD package? Install HTTPD. Yes. Thank you, sir. So why we use the greater than symbol in echo command? Why we use greater than symbol in echo command? To send content to the file. Thank you, Madhvi ma'am. So that is how we do it. And last but not the least, what is the other name for terminal? The technical name for the terminal is? It's a bash shell. So the command to fire the commands the command to fire all the commands automatically while launching EC2 itself. What is the command? What is the command to fire all the commands while launching the web server itself? Check config is to automatically start the package. Thank you, Vasantama ma'am. It's bin bash command # exclamatory \bin \bash. So let's go ahead and create 2 web servers because we require 2. So I'm not gonna give 2 here because I need 2 different web contents. So what I'll do is instead I'll copy paste all the commands here. Add storage tags web server. So here we are going to the existing security group. So in the existing security group, I need 2 ports, right? One is SSH and one is HTTP. So I'm gonna select this particular security group which is already existed because I don't want to create any more security groups because I will get confused. So review and launch. So I'm going with the old key pair only, web server key which I have created yesterday. So launch instances. So let me launch another instance also in the same way. But here I'm going to change the content. So instead of 1, I'm giving 2. So to the topic we are going to discuss, it will make a lot more sense when we go through the topic. So again, giving web server only, review and launch, web server. All the security groups key pairs, I'm using the older ones only. That is not at all a problem. So launch instances. So in order to connect, sir, you just need to select an instance, go to connect here. So copy including the username or DNS, or you can copy just after @ also. You can do anything you want and give it in putty. So this is how you give it in putty. So you can just give it here in the host name, IP address, give it here. So then you just need to click on this little plus symbol next to SSH, because we are SSH clients and we want to see the contents inside it. So we want to authenticate this process. So here we'll browse the web server PPK and we'll select accept. So sudo So if you can see, there is already an index.html file. So we can see, we can print the content also. So because we have launched it automatically, everything is already there without any need to give anything manually. So this is how we can connect to our instance. So close this thing. Currently, I don't want this session to run. So my first web server is running. Let us check. So it is working fine, my auto web server 1. So let me check the second one also. So the second web server is also working fine. You can see the difference in the content, right? You can see the difference in the content, right? So let us now go ahead and dive into the topic. So today we are gonna discuss about ELB, which is nothing but elastic load balancing. So let us consider so there are IP1, IP2, okay, and web server 1, web server 2. Okay. So when users are trying to access this thing, what happens? The traffic comes in this way, and then it will go in the directions. For example, if this web server is down, all the traffic is routed to a single web server. So what is happening here? So the first characteristic of a ELB is so it acts as a common entry point to the traffic. Common entry point. If you can remember the first day's demo, we have seen there is a user through the internet, through the router, it was directed towards the load balancer, and through load balancer only servers are connected and RDS is there. So load balancer acts as a common entry point of the traffic. So that is the first characteristic. So let me write it properly. It acts as a common entry point of traffic. So that is the first characteristic of a elastic load balancer. It acts as a common entry point of traffic. So the second one, what we can understand with the name of this thing when we read elastic load balancer. So what we can understand from the particular terminology? Expand. It is flexible. What do we call something as a balancer? Okay. Distribute. Yes. It is distributing what? Equalizer. When resources are busy, transfers to one another. So we can say that it acts as a distribute compute load. Thank you, Ashrad Ahmed sir. So it distributes compute load. So what we can say here, it balances the load. So if one request is sent here, the second will go here. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So it distributes the load between the two web servers, two given web servers. So we can say balances the load. So, and the third one, which is very, very important because everybody tend to say the first two whenever there is a topic of elastic load balancer, but most of the people tend to forget the third one, which is a very, very important one. It routes traffic. It routes traffic only to a healthy web server. It routes traffic only to a healthy web server. So these are the three main characteristics of or the features of elastic load balancer. So now let us go ahead and jump into the practicals in order to prove these points. So there is nothing much theory about ELB. So let us directly go into practicals. So these are the three main characteristics of an elastic load balancer. One is it acts as a common entry point of traffic. The second is it balances the load. And the third is it routes traffic only to a healthy web server. So we'll see what are all these terminologies and all. So let us now go ahead and jump into practicals. So we can see we have two web servers running. So you might have already understood because we are going to attach an ELB to this both web servers. But why I have given two different web contents, you will understand it. So when you scroll your left side of the screen down, you can find load balancing, load balancers. So click on load balancers. So currently you can see I don't have any load balancers in my account. So I'm going to create a load balancer. So for the moment we haven't discussed about application load balancers, network load balancer, or a gateway load balancer. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a classic load balancer. We're going to create classic load balancer. So click on this classic load balancer. So create. So you can see here, in order to create a load balancer also, it has 7 steps involved, a total of 7 steps involved. So the first one is load balancer name. We can give anything we want. So I'm going to give my ELB. Okay. And currently we don't deal with VPC topic, so we don't require to, change anything here. So on the load balancer protocol, it is telling it is HTTP, HTTPS, TCP, and SSL. So we don't need to do anything here. It is just telling what is the protocol of this particular component. So assign security groups. What is the security group that we have created our web servers with? Which type of traffic should be allowed? Basically, what is the traffic that is coming in through the port 80? Yes or no? That means the load balancer should have which port open? 80 port open. So already we have a security group here in web server, which is having 80 port and 22 port. So what do you think? Will there be any problem here? Like normally a load balancer requires 80 port, but in the security group that we are giving, it is having 22 port and 80 port. So what do you think is happening? Like, will there be any problem with the 22 port to the ELB? This web server security group is having 80 port and 22 port, HTTP and SSH. The port required for an ELB is 80, which is HTTP. So do you think will there be any problem if we give this particular web server? So what you have to remember is that it is just a component. ELB is just a component. So no matter how many ports we open it, it doesn't affect the load balancer because it is not a EC2 machine. It only works with 2 ports, which is 80 and 443. So it will just check if these ports are open or not, irrespective of how many other ports are attached to it. So ELB doesn't react to any 22 ports because it is just a component and it will react only to 80 and 443 ports. So now next. So here it is telling your our load balancer security. It is recommending us to use HTTPS and SSL protocols, which we don't require right now normally. So don't bother about the third section. So you can go to next. So now, can anybody tell me, I said in the third characteristic of an ELB, I said in the third characteristic of an ELB that it routes traffic only to a healthy web server. But how can an ELB know which server is healthy and which is not? So we need to give some reference to the ELB, yes or no? We need to give some reference to the ELB to check whether a web server is healthy or unhealthy, yes or no? For example, if I have a fever, how can I say I have a fever? I need to check it with a thermometer, yes or no? I need to check whether the temperature is exceeding the normal temperature. Then I can decide that I have fever. So in the same way, how an ELB can verify that a particular web server is healthy or not? It should have a reference to it, yes or no? And that reference we call it as, health check file. Health check file. Health check file, which is nothing but our ping path here. Our ping path here. So in order to determine whether a server is healthy or not, it will check which file? Index.html /index.html, which is nothing but it is checking for HTML, index.html file in the root drive. If it is there, it is determining it as a healthy web server. If it is not there, then it might declare it as a unhealthy web server. So now, for example, if this ELB is me and I have two web servers, okay, so let's say this web server is Avinash sir. Let's say web server is Avinash sir and this is me. So what I will ask, like I'll ask Avinash sir, like, sir, are you listening to my class? So first what happens? First it may register my question, yes or no? Then it has to cross check how many Avinashas are there in this particular session. Then it will respond back. So the time taken, okay, by a web server to respond back is called as response timeout. So the time taken by a web server to respond back to a particular request is called as response timeout. So I'm going to give 2 here because that is the least value we can give. So I'm going to give 2. So now the second thing. So I will say a session for more than 1 hour, right? Yes or no? So Avinash sir may say yes right now. Okay, when I asked him, And then he might go back to sleep or to have a dinner, or do something else. So after 5 minutes, what I'll do after 5 minutes, after 5 minutes of time, 5 seconds or 5 minutes of time, what I'll do? Again, I will ask like, sir, Avinash sir, are you listening to my class? So the time taken, the time gap between two successive requests is called as interval. The time gap between two successive requests is called as interval here. So what happens basically when we talk the same thing in ELB format and in the cloud format? So what happens basically is, so first 2 seconds, I will ask like whether it is working properly or not. And after 5 seconds, we will ask back this thing. Yes. So to check if index.html file is still there in this website or not, and respond back, it will take some time. So see, if I give 2 seconds, what happens here? If I give 2 seconds here, what happens here? It is showing as an error. Like health check interval must be an integer between 5 seconds to 300 seconds. But here we can't wait 300 seconds, right? So we want the minimust latency possible, the minimal times possible. So the integer that I have to give here is 5. We are sticking to the minimum values. So that is why I'm giving all the minimal values so that our ELB can respond as fast as can. So here, if you can observe, in the first two things like response timeout and interval, they both are marked for seconds. So what can we say? These both are talking about time. But what are these two things are talking about? Number of times. Yes or no? So again, how an ELB declares a web server is unhealthy. So next time when I ask Avinash sir, like, are you listening to my class? He might not respond back. So just after not responding for one time, can I declare that he is sleeping in the session or he is not there in the session? No, right? I cannot. Because maybe, maybe his headphones might be dropped, or maybe there is some technical glitch and there is some internet things. So he might not hear my question. Yes or no? So there may be so many factors to consider here. So I need to give him a second chance. So what I will do, I will again question him. So I will till the response time again. Okay. So now for the third time also, if he did not respond, then I will declare Avinash sir is sleeping the class or he is not there in the class. So the same thing, what is a unhealthy threshold? The number of times the load balancer will take to declare the web server is unhealthy is called as unhealthy threshold. And for healthy threshold, it is vice versa. So it is simply the things that we can give. So what I want to do, I want to keep it to minimal. You can see there is no one number here, because just with one request, we cannot declare a server healthy or unhealthy. So we are going to give the basic, the minimest possible 2. And even for the healthy threshold also, even to determine healthy also, it requires minimum 2 requests. So this is what we'll give here. Next, what we'll do, we'll go to the next step. So here, add EC2 instances. So we're gonna attach our web servers to this particular ELB. So just select this two web servers and then add tags. So if we want to add a tag, we can add a tag, give a name, ELB, okay, review and create. So an ELB doesn't have an IP address. It will have a single domain name service, a single DNS. So it is like how we map our IP addresses of all the web servers to a particular user-friendly domain name, you know. So like that, ELB has only a single domain name, and we are going to use this thing. So if we can come here to this instances, click on this thing, you can see both the web servers are out of service, but our web servers are working fine, right? We already checked it. So it is in the process of creating this ELB. That is why they both are showing out of service. So let us refresh this page. So you can see both are in service. Yes or no? Both are in service. So let us do what? Let me go ahead, copy my DNS. I'm copying my DNS and giving it in the next web page in a new tab. So which server is responding now? Which server is responding now? Is it web server 1 or web server 2? Web server 2. So see what happens when I refresh this page. It is showing which web server right now. Again, if I refresh back, you can observe the difference here. So with this, did I prove that it is acting as a common entry point of traffic? And because with the DNS, because DNS is the single entry point to inside the CLB, I have proved it is acting as a common entry point. And when I refresh this page, you can see both the web servers working. So I have proved you it is actually balancing the load. Yes or no? That is the reason I have given two different web contents, because we need to understand the difference. Normally in real time, do companies have different web contents or same web content? If you type YouTube and I type also YouTube, the contents will be same. Yes or no? The content will be same. But here I wanted to specifically give two different web servers, because two different contents, because I wanted to show you it is actually routing to which web server and another web server. Like it is actually routing to both the web servers simultaneously. So now, in order to prove the third point, like it is routing traffic only to a healthy web server, I have to make what? I have to make any of the web server unhealthy first. Yes or no? First, I have to make one web server as unhealthy. So what are the things we can do in order to make a healthy server unhealthy? We can actually stop the service also. So if we stop the machine, it will not work. What is the other thing we can do? Index.html. So what is index.html, ma'am? Can you please elaborate your answer a little bit? I cannot create a fake traffic right now, no sir. So that is why we can't break the server. I mean, even though everybody use, even though I give the link to you all people, first of all, let me give the DNS to you also. If you want, you can check it. It is actually routing traffic to both the servers. What is our health check file here? Basically, what is our health check file here? In order to determine whether a web server is healthy or not. Index.html. Yes. So what if I remove this file from one of the web servers? What if I remove this file from one of the web servers? What happens? That means this load balancer will always check for the index.html file in either web server 1 and web server 2. So when I remove index.html file, the server automatically becomes unhealthy. Yes or no? Can we do that? For that, let me go ahead. For that process, let me go ahead and connect with one of the web servers. I can connect with any of the web servers. So let me open Putty. So I'm going to authenticate it with the web server PPK. So first, in order to do anything, we have to give sudo su. And the directory we should be in is HTML. So let me check. So there is the file. There is content inside it also. So now I want to remove this particular file from this web server. So what is the command to remove a file? What is the command to remove a file? To remove any file? rm. So rm, let me give rm index.html. So it will ask, like, if you want to remove, if you want to remove the regular file. So I am giving y because y means yes. So let's cross check. There is no file. Yes or no? So now let us go ahead and see in our ELB what is happening. So what it is telling, basically, if you come to instances, what it is telling is one is out of service and one is in service. So what does it actually mean? That means one web server has become unhealthy. So being cloud engineers, we will not go into the website link and will not check whether a particular website is working or not. But instead, what we'll do, we'll come here to the dashboard in the console, and we'll see how many web servers are out of service and what can be done over there and all. So one is out of service. So let us now go ahead and refresh the page. What is happening? No matter how many times I refresh, it is showing only one server, and that is also the second web server. Yes or no? So this proves our third point, that traffic is directed only to the healthy server. Yes or no? So how can we make this web server healthy again? How can we make this web server healthy again? Just by doing what we have undone it. Just undone what we have done. So let us give echo. So let me cross check. It is there. So yes. So now let us come back to the console. Just refresh the page. Can you see it immediately became healthy? Yes or no? Before even going to the browser, because we'll be administrators of this AWS account, we can declare from AWS dashboard itself that first web server is in service. So now let us go ahead and refresh the page. So is it working? Is it showing both the servers? So does both the servers are working or not? Yes. So this is how an ELB acts as, this is how we make use of an ELB. So now my question is, if all the traffic is being routed to the both, okay, and one went down. So then what happens? All the traffic hits a single web server. Yes or no? So in this situation, what is the solution? In this situation, what is the solution? In this situation, what can be the solution? What we have to do? Because after some point of time, when all the traffic is being routed to this single web server, it will also crash down. Yes or no? Jai Kumar sir, please mute yourself, please. I have tried muting 2 times, so add one more web server. But is it happening with the help of ELB? Madhavi ma'am? Is it happening? Like, is it launching another web server whenever it is needed? Like, there is a little disadvantage to this. I mean, we cannot say disadvantage, but a flaw. Something can be improved. So what is it? when first web server has reached its 100% CPU capacity, all the traffic is being routed to web server 2. So at some point, web server 2 also will reach 100% capacity. So, and it will also crash. So what happens now when both got crashed? The website will be available? Will the website will be available to the customer? No, it is not. So we need to have an extra service to be launched immediately whenever the load is increasing. Yes or no? So our requirement is such a way. So, but is it happening here with ELB, with the load balancer? It is not happening with load balancer. So there needs to be added something extra to this load balancer. So what is that extra? If you remember from my demo session, what is that extra? So it has to be a combination of ELB plus ASG. And what is the full form of ASG? I've given it to you in the demo session. I've given it to you in the demo session. What is the full form of ASG? Auto scaling group. Thank you, Bharati ma'am. Auto scaling group. Thank you, Patnaik sir. Auto scaling group. Why? Because the features of auto scaling can be performed only by auto scaling. The features of a load balancer can be performed only by a load balancer. Yes or no? So, but what we need to do, we need to combine both these things, then only our infrastructure will be highly available. Highly available means what? Basically, our website will be 24/7, 365 days available to the customers. So what happens if Google or YouTube went down hardly like for 5 minutes? There will be loss of so much data and there will be a downtime to the company. Yes or no? Huge loss. So in order to avoid such kind of things, we need to make our website highly available. So in order to make our website highly available, we need to use the combination of elastic load balancer along with auto scaling groups. So we already know the concept of a load balancer. So let's now discuss, the concept of auto scaling. Okay, the concept that is related to auto scaling. So let's say there is ELV. There are web server 1 and web server 2. Okay. So let's say at middle of night, there is so much traffic. So many people are trying to access your, account or website. So definitely these two machines are not enough. So many machines has to be launched immediately. So who will take care of that? For that, we need to bring into picture called a service called ASG. So what autoscaling will do? Whenever the load is increased, please everybody stay on mute, please. Everybody please stay on mute. So what this autoscaling will do, basically, whenever the load is increased, maybe more than 90%, okay, more than 70%, automatically it will launch one more web server. So as per the requirement, as per the traffic coming in, so that what will happen, load will be, what is the property of auto scaling? Launching new machines, EC2s or machines. And the second job of an ASG is to get it attached automatically to a load balancer. Okay, so the two jobs of an auto scaling group is to create new web servers, to launch new web servers, and get them attached to the load balancer. And both this process is automatic. So who is distributing the load here? ELB. So that is the reason we need to use this in a combination. Only ASG cannot help, or only ELB also doesn't help. It should be a combination to achieve load balancing and high availability to your website. So that is why in real time, companies in any project, anywhere, it will be a combination of ELB plus ASG, ELB plus ASG. So sometimes, for career changing people, they might ask, if you are interested into cloud computing and you wanna take a break from faculty position. So in interviews, they will ask like, how do you make sure your website is available? Like what is the architecture you have followed? So we need to say that it is the combination of load balancer and auto scaling. Okay. So that is what helps us to maintain our website 24/7, 365 days alive. So just imagine if we have only auto scaling, what it does, it will only launch the machine. If only machine is launched, what it will help? Where that machine should be attached, there will be no meaning to that as newly attached machine. Yes or no? Newly launched machine. So that is why ELB and ASG should go always hand in hand. So before starting this ASG, whatever we have done, practically manually, it will all be done automatically. But here with increasing traffic, automatically machine should get launched and automatically that machine has to go and get attached with the ELB. So then only the load will be distributed among the servers, and our website won't be down. For that, we need to know the different options which we discuss at auto scaling level. So there are three prerequisites of ASG. So three things are needed whenever we wanna create ASG. So the first one is we need to have a launch template. We need to have a thing called launch template. So we have templates in online, right? Like while creating a resume or a project report, we find some online templates and we just need to change the information to our information and then it is ready, right? So here also, how will auto scaling know the configuration? Like while it is launching a new web server like this, it should know the configuration, right? Okay, this particular AMI I have to use, this particular instance type I have to use to launch a new web server and all. So we only have to give, we only have to tell auto scaling group what is the configuration that we need. So in an option called launch template, we will already define the configuration of the machine. So this is nothing but, AMI, security groups, key pairs, user data, storage, everything, instance type, CPU plus RAM, everything, we will define at some place the configuration of the machine, and that place we call it as launch template. So whatever the steps are there in launching an EC2, we are just using the same things. But instead of launching an EC2, we are going to create a template out of it, where we can use that particular template along with EC2 auto scaling. So that is the first one. The second prerequisite is scaling policies. So scaling policies, what do we mean by scaling policies? Scaling policies are nothing but, scale up and scale down. So if my company is a startup company, our manager will come and say, according to our budget limits, the minimum servers that we can, the minimum budget limit is 3 servers and maximum is 10 maybe, to bear AWS bill and all. So what we'll do with the help of target tracking policy, target tracking policy, if the CPU utilization is more than 90%, I want to add a web server. Please launch an extra web server. If the CPU utilization is less than 30%, please remove a web server. I don't want to use it. Please launch a web server and attach it to the ELB also. Both the things. Okay. So this all tracking and all attaching, launching, this is all the job of auto scaling group only. We don't do nothing here. So there is no scope that your website will be down. Like it will be highly available 24/7, 365 days. Will not give a chance to let our website have a downtime. So any doubts still here? Or can I go ahead and show it to you practically? Can I go ahead and show it to you practically?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So let us go to our console. So like how we created in ELB, I'll show you how to delete it also. So just go here, delete the ELB that we have created. Yes, delete. So the minute we delete this thing, our web server, the DNS will not work. And I'm going to terminate both the instances because I don't require any instances. Whose job it is to launch instances? It is the job of auto scaling groups to launch the web servers, attach them to ELB, everything automatic only. I'm not going to do anything manual. So like how we have created an ELB, we'll create an ELB. So let us go ahead and create an ELB. Just ELB, we are not attaching anything because currently we don't have any web servers also. So like how we have done some 20 minutes back, we are gonna do the same thing here. Create classic load balancer. I'm giving some name to it. I'm gonna give the web server port. So, and we already know the basic values. These are the minimal values we can give. So 2522, I have given it also. Then in add instance tab, normally it will not show because we are not going to attach anything. It will also go because it is in terminating position. So I'm not attaching any EC2s currently. So I just added a tag, review, create. So see, currently there are no instances registered to this load balancer. So there are no web servers attached to it. So it is like a void space right now. So here, if you can see on the left side of the screen, in the instances tab, you have launch template. So we are gonna use this option, launch template. So you can see I don't have any launch templates currently. So I'm gonna create new launch template. So create launch template. So here it is asking for a name. So I'm giving my ASG launch template. Okay. So it is asking template version description. We can give anything we want, like demo or any description we want to make. So what it is asking, auto scaling guidance. Select this if you intend to use this template with EC2 auto scaling. So if we forget to click this particular thing or mark this particular thing, then everything will be manual again. There is no point of there is no use of ASG. So please make sure that you enable this thing. Okay. So then scroll it down. So it is asking what? Amazon machine image, which is nothing but OS. It is asking us to select the OS that we want for our launch template. So I'm going to browse some AMIs. So I'm going to use Amazon Linux, which is free tier eligible one. So can I go with this thing? Because I want to launch multiple web servers, I'm using this one only. So I'm gonna go with Linux only because that is having less storage, less root storage. So I have given Amazon Linux. Then we already know what is the instance type. What is the instance type? What is an instance type? What is an instance type? CPU plus RAM. So here you can see there is T2.micro, which is free tier eligible one, and we are gonna use that thing. So I'm just gonna click it here. So next it is asking for key pair. So do I have any key pairs? Yes, I already have Linux, web server and all. If we want, we can create a new key pair here also. Or we can go with the existing one. So I'm going with the existing one. So leave the subnet topic because we haven't discussed about it. So in security groups, web server is the one which is having both HTTP port and SSH port. So I am selecting web server here. If you want, we can create a new one also. But yeah, see, we can create a new security group. Next, there is nothing to do in EBS volumes because it already selected 8 GB root and all. So we don't need to do anything here. So it is asking resource tag. If we want, we can give the tag name and web server, the value inside this particular key. So in order to make a web server, what is the automatic web server thing? What we have to do? We need to give bin bash commands. Yes or no? We need to make use of bin bash commands. So let me open my bin bash commands. Okay, see here in this advanced details, click on this advanced details, scroll down till the last. Here you can find the user data box. Yes or no? We can find user data box. Simply copy paste all the commands. So now I am not giving different contents. I am giving a single content for everything I'm going to create. Because in real time, companies follow the same principle. So now, because we have the understanding of elastic load balancer, we don't need to worry like which web server is responding back to us and all. So now I'm giving a single web content. So create launch template. So view launch templates. So a launch template has been created successfully. Yes or no? So the three out of three prerequisites, one is launch template, one is scaling policies, and one is elastic load balancer. So now we have already created a load balancer and a launch template. So we'll give auto scaling groups. Scaling policies inside auto scaling groups only. So now we have to go to auto scaling groups, which is the last option on the left side of your screen. So let me select auto scaling groups. Currently, I don't have any auto scaling group, so I'm going to create an auto scaling group. And here, if you can see, it also has 7 steps in creating a auto scaling group. The first one is it is asking for a name. So I'm going to give my ASG practice or something like that. You can give anything you want. So it is asking for a launch template. We have already created a launch template. Yes or no? So this is the launch template that we have created. So I'm just going to select that launch template. Next. So in this network part, this VPC is the default VPC. So we don't deal with this thing. But availability zones, we already know this topic. So here, which availability zone should I choose? One data center or all the three data centers? One data center or all the three data centers? Yes, Patnaik sir. All the three. In order to have high availability, always the formula is multi-availability zones. So even if one data center got crashed, we don't need to worry for our data loss or disaster management and all. So always go with all the three multi-AZs, like high availability directly equals to multi-AZs. So next, so in the third step, it is asking for load balancer. So do we already have a load balancer or no? Yes or no? So we already have a load balancer. So I'm gonna go and click attach an existing load balancer. In existing load balancer also, I don't have load balancer target groups, but I have a classic load balancer. So I'm gonna select the classic load balancer. So here, if I click, you can see, I can see the ELB which is available. So I'm gonna select this ELB. So now, Ec2 auto scaling automatically replaces instances that fail health check. So if you enabled load balancing, you can enable ELB health checks. So we are enabling ELB health checks. So the amount of time until Ec2 auto scaling performs the first health check on new instances after they are put into service. It is asking how much time is required. So I'm just going to give some 30 seconds or something like that. So CloudWatch is a monitoring service which we haven't discussed. So just leave this thing, we don't require it. Next. So here it is talking about group size and scaling policies. So what is a group size? If you remember, I have given you a minimum and maximum capacity of my startup. So for example, if the minimum is 3 and maximum is 10, what is the desired capacity? Basically, anytime how many machines should be running, will be the desired capacity. So a desired capacity will be between minimum and maximum. So the minimum is 3 and I'm going to stick with 3 only because if I launch 3 web servers only, I will be falling under free tier eligible 30 GB. So my desired is 3. I want anytime 3 web servers to run. So now comes scaling policies. So I told you that we will be giving scaling policies here only. So target tracking scaling policy. So in target tracking scaling policy, we are going with average CPU utilization. So the target value is 90%. So before there used to be, we do not need to give the minimum value like less than 30%, remove one. So it is a recent update that we don't need to define the second one. If we define just the target value, it is fine. So only one is needed, like if CPU is more than 90%, one web server will be launched. So instances need dash seconds warm up before including in the metric. So along with the health checks, this seconds also will be there. So because in the health check part we have given 30, I'm giving 40 here. So disable scale in to create only a scale out policy. So scale in means what do we mean by scale in? Decreasing. Scale out means increasing. So it is asking only, don't delete it, but keep on increasing the instances. So then we have to pay a lot more bill than expected. So do not mark this thing because we want to create both scale in and scale out policy. We want it to work on the both ends. So this thing we don't require it, scale in protection. So next. So notifications. So it is nothing but a simple SNS service, simple notification service. So whenever we put an order in Amazon or Flipkart, we'll get updates, right, to our phone, like your order is being dispatched. It has arrived to this data center. It has arrived to this distribution center. You will receive your package by today evening. All these are all what? These are notifications from Amazon. A simple notification to update you what is happening. So in a similar way, why we need notifications in a company inside a project is whenever, for example, if I have a team consisting of 5 people inside my company, like for example, Patnaik sir, Madhavi ma'am, Avinash sir, me, we are all inside a team. So if anyone make any changes to a particular thing, everybody else should be notified about it. Otherwise, the same modifications everybody will do, and then it completely messes up the project. So that is why we have this notification service. But currently, I am the only person who is working under this project, so I don't want any notifications. I'm just gonna go next. So it is asking for a tag. So for whatever web servers it launches. So I'm just gonna give web server. Next. So this is the review option. You know, all the things that we have given. So create auto scaling group. So it is updating the capacity. See what happens. The instances count is 0 right now. And the desired is 3 because minimum and maximum is 3 and 10. So see what is happening. Just because I refreshed this thing, it has gone the instances to 2. And now the instances is 3. So now let us go ahead and check if there are any instances. You can see, right? Did I launch these instances? Did I launch these things? And now let us go ahead while the third one is launching. Let us go ahead and check our load balancer, because what is the second job of ASG? To attach them to the load balancer. So now come to the instances here. You can see there are 2 instances attached to this particular load balancer currently. So now you can see 3 instances are already launched and 2 are being initialized and 1 is already initialized, which is in service. So practically our web server will work or no? Now if I give the DNS, you people also check. I'll give it in the chat box. So I have given it to you. Oh, okay, let me give the link, a hyperlink. I'll give hyperlink directly. See? So no matter how many times we refresh, we'll never know out of these 3 web servers, which web server is working with us. Yes or no? Which server is showing us the content? So now let us go ahead and check. See, 3 are in service. So what I'll do, because what is the job of an auto-scaling group? Always to run 3 instances continuously. So what I'll do in order to create a fake traffic, I will only delete, I will only terminate 2 instances. So normally as a job of auto scaling group, what it has to do? See, currently I have only 1 running instance. and our web server is working fine. It will not affect our web server. So definitely it will take that 40 seconds time right now for a web server to launch again, that 30 seconds plus 40 seconds. So it will again launch back other instances. So if you want, you can go ahead and check in our load balancer also. You see, there is only a single web server, which is taking all the traffic in. So now let us go ahead and check whether it has launched any new web servers. Definitely it will take the time 40 seconds plus 40 seconds in order to launch a new web server. And I hope really before our call gets, terminated, it will launch. So for now, tell me, in order to delete, in order to terminate these instances, if I just terminate here and log out my account, it will be fine. Will I not get a bill? No, I have to remove it from the root. So what I have to do, I have to delete the auto scaling group and then, yes. So what we have to do, we have to practically, you see, the second one is being launched and automatically the third one also will be launched. But what we want to do, we have to delete the auto scaling group only, then only everything will be gone. So what I'll do, I'll just go here to the auto scaling groups, select the auto scaling group, select the option delete, and I am deleting it. So the minute it is deleting, check if the load balancers are having. See, is there any instances here? Are there any instances here? If you can check our website also. It will not be working right now. You see, this page isn't working because all the web servers are gone, and the things that are attached to the web server ELB is also gone. So I'm just gonna delete this ELB. Let's cross check if I have any running instances. You can see there are no running instances. You see, everything is terminated. So what is the other thing that I have to delete? The launch template. So select the launch template in actions, delete template, delete. So this is how we make sure our website is highly available with the help of multi-AZs and all, with the help of security elastic load balancers. We'll balance our load to the website, and along with auto scaling groups, we will launch new web servers whenever the traffic is increasing. So in order to terminate everything, first terminate the auto scaling group, then terminate ELB and launch template. So the feedback link, they haven't sent it. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll call the admin team. So please fill in the feedback form link, because this is a crucial part where it plays a crucial part in your certification. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, that's it for today's session, guys. So I have informed the admin team. They'll be giving you the feedback link in a minute. So yes, Darshan sir, you can find the recorded YouTube live session in Brainovision channel. So if you can go to Brainovision channel, you can find the recorded session. I know it is a lot more to take in a single day. So please do practice whatever I have shown you. So tomorrow we'll see all the remaining options in EC2. Like every day we are seeing what is the status check. So what is it basically? So all these other things, we'll see it tomorrow's session. So yes, there is the feedback link in the chat box. Please do fill your feedback forms. And I have given intimation for the admin team to give feedback forms in YouTube as well. So they said they are gonna add it in the description tab of a YouTube video. Please, whoever are watching in YouTube also, please fill in your feedback forms kindly. So not only in the description box for YouTubers, in the chat box also, they have given the feedback link, because we have seen, I mean, I got an update that you people are not receiving feedback link. So sorry, we couldn't talk directly, but yeah, we are actually looking at what you are telling us. So even though it is a day delay, so thank you so much for today's session. Let us all meet tomorrow evening for a final session of this FDP program, which has been a blast till now, and let us make tomorrow also a blast. So thank you everybody for your time and all. Have a great evening. Meet you all tomorrow.